Have you ever felt a lie before you heard it? It's a cold spot in the room, a change in the air pressure that only you can feel. I felt it that night, standing in the doorway of our master bedroom, the one we'd painted a soft blue the year we moved in. Psst. My wife Sarah was asleep, or pretending to be, but her phone was wide awake, casting a pale, guilty glow from the nightstand. It was 2:17 a.m. The screen wasn't showing a clock or a weather app. It was a text message, a single line that had been left open, forgotten. A line that would act as the first crack in the foundation of my entire world. I saw a name I didn't recognize, and a sentence that made no sense, in every sense all at once. You were incredible tonight. Can't stop thinking about it. My heart didn't break. It simply stopped. And in that frozen moment, I knew my life as I knew it was over. I just didn't realize I would be the one to burn it all down. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The strange behavior had started subtly, like a slow poison. It was the little things. Sarah, who had always been surgically attached to her phone, but casual about its presence, suddenly guarded it like it was a state secret. It would be face down on the kitchen counter, always. She'd take it into the bathroom when she showered. Late nights at the firm, she'd say, her voice a little too bright, a little too rehearsed. She was a partner at a downtown Chicago law firm on Wacker Drive, so the hours weren't impossible to believe. But there was a new coldness in her, a dismissive edge that felt like a weapon. One evening I tried to hug her from behind while she was making dinner, and she flinched, a full-body recoil. "Don't, Mike," she snapped, her shoulders tense. "You'll make me spill this." It was just olive oil. We used to be the couple that other people envied, the easy, laughing, affectionate pair. Now, an invisible wall stood between us, and she was the one who had laid every brick. The villains, her and this ghost on her phone, felt untouchable. They were living in a world I wasn't allowed to see, and the humiliation was a constant, bitter taste in my mouth. I felt like a fool in my own home. The discovery wasn't a single explosion. It was a series of small, painful detonations. I started paying attention. Credit card receipt for a dinner for two at a pricey Italian place on a night she was supposedly working late. A new perfume she wore, something musky and expensive that wasn't the light, floral scent I'd bought her for our anniversary. Then came the phone calls. I was in the garage one Saturday, and her phone left on the kitchen island rang. The name on the screen was Mark Jennings. I knew Mark. He was a junior partner at her firm, a smug, overly confident guy with a trust fund and a predatory smile. I'd met him at a company holiday party. He'd shaken my hand a little too firmly, his eyes lingering on Sarah a second too long. My blood ran cold. I didn't answer. The call went to voicemail, and a text popped up immediately after. "Call me back when you're free. Need to see you." It wasn't about a legal brief. You don't need to see a coworker on a Saturday for a case file. The pieces clicked into place with the sickening finality of a coffin lid shutting. The late nights, the secret phone, the coldness, it was all him. That night I broke. I drove my car to the edge of Lake Michigan, parked near North Avenue Beach, and just stared out at the black, churning water. The skyline of the city we'd built our life in seemed to mock me. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just sat there as the engine cooled, feeling a part of myself die, replaced by something cold, quiet, and terrifyingly patient. The next phase was about control. My control. The emotional storm had passed, leaving behind a landscape of ice. I started gathering proof. I installed a keylogger on our home computer. It felt disgusting, a violation of the man I used to be, but that man was gone. The new me was a strategist. I needed evidence, irrefutable and absolute. The keylogger captured everything. Emails between them, filled with sickening pet names and plans for their trysts. They favored the Langham, a luxury hotel on the river. I booked a room on the same floor for a night they planned to meet using a prepaid credit card. I didn't confront them. Just sat in my silent, empty room, listening for their laughter in the hallway, the sound of their keycard in the lock. I recorded it all on my phone, their voices, the closing of the door. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who looked like he'd seen it all. It was worth every penny. He got me photos. It's photos of them kissing in a parking garage. Photos of them holding hands walking into a restaurant. Each picture was a nail in Sarah's coffin. I saved everything to a secure, encrypted hard drive. I was building an arsenal. While I gathered my weapons, I set the traps. Sarah's parents were celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary in a few months. They were deeply religious, proud people who adored me and believed their daughter was a saint. Sarah was planning a huge, lavish party for them at a country club. She'd put me in charge of the finances for it, ironically. I started a separate bank account, and under the guise of paying for party vendors, I began legally and quietly moving our joint assets. I consulted with the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a woman known as the Shark. I didn't put her on retainer yet. I just paid for her time laying out my evidence. She was impressed. "You've done most of my job for me, Mr. Henderson," she'd said, a thin smile on her face. "When you're ready, we will dismantle her." The final trap was social. Sarah was on the board of a major children's charity, an image she cultivated with meticulous care. Her annual fundraising gala was her crowning achievement. I made a quiet, anonymous donation, a large one, ensuring I'd have a seat at a prominent table. Everything was in place. The board was set. Pieces were ready to move. The night of her parents' anniversary party was the beginning of the end. Sarah was glowing, radiating arrogance and success, completely unaware of the abyss she was about to step into. She gave a beautiful, tearful speech about family, loyalty, and love. The hypocrisy was so thick I could barely breathe. Her parents beamed. Mark was there too, as her colleague. He had the nerve to approach me at the bar. "You're a lucky man, Mike," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Sarah's one of a kind." I just smiled, a dead, empty smile. "I know," I said. "I know exactly what she is." The next morning, as she nursed a hangover, I served her with the divorce papers. The petition included a detailed, itemized list of my evidence of her infidelity, including dates, times, and locations. Her face went from confused to horrified to sheer animal panic as she read. "You can't prove any of this," she stammered, her voice trembling. I just slid a single, glossy 8x10 photo across the kitchen table. It was of her and Mark, kissing in the hotel parking garage. Her carefully constructed world shattered in that instant. The public exposure was brutal and swift. The divorce proceedings were a formality. My lawyer, the Shark, used the evidence to ensure I got full custody of our 2 children, the house, and the majority of our assets. Sarah's affair, documented in excruciating detail, was filed as part of the public record. Her firm's partners, deeply conservative, asked for her resignation to avoid a scandal. Mark was fired immediately. Her parents, after seeing the evidence I reluctantly showed them, were devastated and disowned her. But the final blow came at the charity gala. Sarah, stripped of her job and reputation but desperate to cling to her last shred of social standing, still attended. In the middle of the silent auction, I had a courier deliver a manila envelope to the head of the charity board. It contained a single printout of an email chain between Sarah and Mark. Planning a weekend getaway using funds she had embezzled from a joint account meant for our kids' college fund. I watched from my table as the board chairman read it, his face hardening. He walked over to Sarah, whispered something in her ear, and she stood up, her face ashen. She was escorted out of the ballroom, a ghost at her own feast. She was completely, utterly ruined. I see her sometimes, a shadow of the woman she once was. She works as a paralegal in a small suburban office. She lives in a cramped apartment. Our kids visit her on supervised weekends. The other day, my youngest, Lily, asked me a question that froze me to my core. "Daddy," she said, looking up at me with her innocent eyes, "why was that man, Mr. Jennings, always over at our old house when you were at work?" I had protected them from the details, but kids see everything. The quiet, haunting truth is that the victory feels hollow. I won. I destroyed her. But the war was fought in my own home, and the scars are a map of a kingdom that is no more. I live in the silence she left behind. The end.